In this video, we're going to take a look at the Model 7 speakers from KLH. Founded in 1957, KLH helped popularize the acoustic suspension principle, which was a breakthrough that allowed compact sealed enclosures to deliver deep, accurate bass with really low distortion. Now, that idea reshaped the home loudspeaker market of the 1960s and 70s, and it remains central to KLH's identity today. Now, these Model 7 carry the heritage forward, drawing on the proportions of classic wide baffle designs while updating them for more modern rooms and more modern expectations. Now, when they were showcased at Audio Advice Live 2025 for the very first time, they attracted constant crowds. Several attendees even told us that they came back to the KLH room multiple different times throughout the show just to listen to them over and over again. Now, let's dive in and see if these are the right speakers for you. The first thing that you'll notice about the Model 7s, just like their smaller siblings, the Model 3s and the Model 5s from KLH, is that they don't look futuristic or flashy at all. They're simple rectangular boxes with a vintage vibe, the kind of design that feels timeless rather than trendy. They may look simple on the outside, but the design is actually very intentional. They are a three-way loudspeaker built around a wide baffle cabinet, a choice that recalls classic mid-century speakers while also serving a really important acoustic purpose. The wider front panel actually directs more energy toward the listening area and reduces that wraparound that thinner speakers can suffer from that can lead to early reflections off nearby walls. However, we should point out though that this type of design does sacrifice pinpoint imaging just a little bit. Now, the enclosure is constructed from structurally reinforced MDF in both 3/4 inch and 1 inch thickness, and size-wise they weigh 68 pounds each, are 36 inches tall, 18 inches wide, and about 12 inches deep. For the size of these speakers, 12 inches is pretty shallow for that depth, which we found really helpful in allowing us to place them away from our wall without sticking out too far into our room. KLH actually recommends a range from about 6 inches to 2 feet. And because the cabinet is sealed, you can even place it closer if you really need to. And with the included riser base right in the package, they stand about 41 inches tall, placing them at the perfect height in a 3-degree slant that aims the mid-range and the tweeter directly at your ears while sitting in a standard seat or couch. Now, the finish of these is handcrafted English walnut real wood veneer or Western African mahogany. And they also include magnetic grills, each fitted with a vintage KLH logo cast in zinc. The speakers are sold as mirrored pairs, so left and right cabinets present symmetrical driver layouts when set up in your room. And the overall look to us is really appealing. The walnut finish feels like real furniture, and the wide baffle gives them that classic vintage vibe. I also love the tint of red on the Western African mahogany ones. And they're the kind of speakers that you actually want to have sitting in your living room, not something you feel like you need to hide. The Model 7 is built around KLH's acoustic suspension platform, so in a sealed cabinet, the air inside acts as a spring that controls the woofer's movement. Now, because air behaves more predictably than most mechanical suspensions, the woofer can move further while still staying linear. That translates to higher output, deeper extension, and lower distortion that many bass reflex systems without the port noise, group delay, or placement headaches that ports often bring. Now, this sealed alignment also follows a gentle 12 decibel per octave roll-off, which works with natural room gain to deliver bass and sounds clean and believable in real spaces. KLH scales this principle with a 13-inch pulp paper cone woofer and its own sealed 2.5 cubic foot sub enclosure. The larger cone area in rugged suspension means that it moves a lot of air per stroke, which is the most direct route to extended, low distortion bass. And on paper, the Model 7 reaches from 38 Hz to 20 kHz, plus or minus 3 dB, with usable energy down to 26 Hz at minus 10 dB. The maximum output is rated at 111 dB at 45 Hz, and peak in-room levels can hit 115 dB. These numbers confirm what the design suggests. The Model 7 is a true full-range loudspeaker capable of anchoring a really serious system without the need for a subwoofer if you don't want one. The mid-range is handled by its own dedicated 5-inch driver in another separate sealed chamber. Keeping it separate from the woofer means voices and instruments come through with way more clarity. Since this is the range our ears are most sensitive to, the Model 7 puts extra focus here, so vocals and instruments sound natural and just really realistic. High frequencies are also reproduced by a 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter with a soft rubber suspension, and integration across all 3 drivers is controlled by a third-order electroacoustic crossover that uses 19 carefully selected components, including air core and iron core inductors. Now, when you spin it around on the rear panel, a 3-position acoustic balance control lets you fine-tune output above 400 Hz by plus or minus 1.5 dB. The high setting is the neutral reference. The medium and low settings gently contour the presence and the top end to suit your room or your taste. Now, this is not a heavy-handed tone control, but instead a really subtle, useful tool for use in your room. Now, in addition, the binding posts are really high quality, made with a 5-way gold plating on them. Now, the promise of acoustic suspension is accuracy, transient control, and bass behavior that feels natural. The Model 7 delivers on that promise with a really good sense of ease. Sensitivity and power handling give you a lot of flexibility with the electronics. At a sensitivity rating of 91 dB in room, the Model 7 will work well with moderately powered amplifiers, but it will really come to life with more power. In fact, the power handling is rated at 250 watts continuous and 1000 watts peak, so dynamic headroom is not an issue at all. Now, when we were testing these in our lab, when we got them back from Audio Advice Live, we thought that the crescendos in our room feel really relaxed rather than compressed, and bass just kept its shape at way higher levels. If you enjoy large orchestral pieces, powerful rock tracks, or cinematic scores, the Model 7 can reproduce them at really convincing levels without losing finesse on smaller acoustic material. The sealed enclosure with its gentle bass roll-off really allowed room gain to step in and in some cases help you feel bass down into the mid-20 Hz range. And this is one of the real reasons that acoustic suspension designs still have a devoted following among listeners who value realism over mere extension figures. The bass sounds like real instruments in real spaces rather than like a curve engineered to impress. Now, in our lab, to really put these Model 7s through their paces, we played Naima by John Coltrane. The quiet opening chords on piano floated delicately in our room with every strike decaying naturally into the background. Coltrane's tenor saxophone had a warmth and body that really felt authentic, never thin or edgy, and the subtle brushwork on the drums really did come through with impressive texture. Now, what really stood out most was how the 7s handled the space of the recording. Instruments were really spread wide across the soundstage, yet they still remained locked into their position, letting us almost visualize the players in the studio and where they were playing at. Now, switching to something a little bit more modern, we listened to Holocene by Bon Iver. This track can be challenging with its layered instrumentation and intricate production, but the 7s really untangled it beautifully. Justin Vernon's falsetto vocal was front and center, smooth and clear without being overly forward. The acoustic guitar strums carried natural resonance, while the low-end swells stayed controlled and blended seamlessly right into the mix. Now, as the song built in intensity, again, these Model 7s expanded the soundstage effortlessly, really just filling our testing lab with an enveloping presentation that just pulled us deeper into the performance itself. So overall, the KLH Model 7s continue up the path of the 3s and the 5. It really represents a continuation of KLH legacy and a statement about the enduring value of acoustic suspension design. At their price, the Model 7 enters a really competitive category, but it stands apart because it offers something really unique. It's one of a handful of speakers out there with this specific blend of heritage, technology, flexibility, and craftsmanship. So for listeners who want something not only to hear their music, but to feel deeply connected to it too, I would say that these Model 7s are a really compelling choice. Plus, if you love the idea of the Model 7, but you want something a little bit more smaller, KLH also does offer those Model 5 and Model 3 options. They share the same acoustic suspension design and vintage styling, just scaled down to fit different room sizes and system needs. Now, if you have more questions, feel free to call or chat with our team or leave a comment down below, and our experts will be happy to help you out. You can also stop by one of our award-winning showrooms as well. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.